Hey, what's up? It's Zach, Team Mr. Mortgage. I hope you and your loved ones are safe and healthy. Speaking of loved ones, you may hear my loved ones in the background. My ladies are home safe with me right now. So in case you hear any fun noises in the background. Now, there's been a lot going on in the mortgage and real estate world. So as promised, I wanted to get you updated and let you know what you can expect and see if you are in process, whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing. So I want to just go ahead and jump right in. If you're in process and you're able to close, meaning you're still working, income hasn't changed, everybody's still able to wrap up, get closed as quickly as you can. There's a lot of rules and regulations that are getting added on. We call those overlays or extra guidelines because of all the unemployment. There's a lot of risk for banks and for servicers out there because of forbearance. You might have heard that term here recently. So you're seeing them want to take away a lot of the risk factors. Make sure that you don't get caught up in that. You don't want to get caught up in the backlash and have to provide any extra documentation, have anything slow you down getting this thing wrapped up for you. Close as quickly as you can, get it done. Now, if you haven't had your appraisal or your inspection done, how that's done is definitely going to change a little bit. If the home is occupied, you're not going to see the appraiser have access or the inspector have access anymore. What they're going to do for the appraisal is they'll do a drive-by or a desktop appraisal, meaning they'll go stop and look at the house, make sure it's in good shape, and then they'll look at data to assess the value. For the inspection, a lot of what we're seeing is again, if the home is occupied, we're seeing the offer be contingent upon the inspection, meaning they'll have you wait until you get all the way to where you can get documents, a fully approved loan. Then they'll allow the inspector to get access to the home. If there are any issues that are found at that point, you can still walk away without having any loss. But it's a way to protect the homeowner as well as protecting the inspector. If your income has changed, you need to talk to your team right away. Whether you've been furloughed or if you have less hours, it's really important that you make sure they know what's going on. It doesn't mean that you're not going to qualify for the purchase, but it may impact when we're able to close for you. You've got to make sure that you're in communication so that there's no surprises for your lender there. If you haven't got into process already, no accepted offer, no loan submitted to the bank, some things are going to change for you along the way. The first thing you want to do is make sure that the loan program that you have qualified for is still available and that you still qualify based on any updated guidelines. Some banks are adding extra rules again or overlays to protect themselves. Well, some aren't. So one advantage to working with the broker, I know a few of them, is that you are going to be able to shop around to find the banks that are still taking risks. I have a couple banks that are still taking 600 and 620 FHA, where a lot of banks are no longer doing that. The reason is because of all of the unemployment, they're trying to protect themselves from forbearance and people missing mortgage payments. It's a really very difficult thing. It causes a lot of problems. So a lot of banks are adding extra rules. Another thing we're seeing is that certain loan programs right now are not going to be there. So for example, your bank statement programs, not many banks are doing those right now because they are inherently more risky. You do see some jumbo programs, but again, they're kind of few and far between. There's again more risk involved with those larger loans, and so you're seeing less banks want to take them on. You also want to make sure you take a look at the interest rate that you qualify for. Because again, of all the turmoil, there's been a lot of swings in the market. Some banks aren't even locking the loan until you get to clear to close and you get documents. And I could explain why, but there's a lot that goes into that. Instead, just know that you need to make sure that the rate that you qualify for still exists. Know whether or not the bank that you're working with will lock it and when they will lock it. And just make sure that the payment still makes sense for you if the rate has changed. You have to take a look at those factors to make sure you're not going to be surprised. Last but not least, again, you've heard me mention this a couple of times, but guideline changes, overlays, rule changes. A lot of banks are adding extra guidelines to protect themselves, and also Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, VA. They're all adding extra rules, and they're all adding ways in which they can work with the current situation. Some of them are good, the appraisal options and the variations there. Verification of employment changes, which we'll talk about in a second as well. But some of them are tougher. They're going to add some tighter restrictions on debt to income for certain clients, tighter restrictions on credit scores. Those are things you need to be aware of if you haven't gotten moving yet, and make sure that you know the loan you qualify for now versus the loan you first qualified for. How you find the home is definitely going to change as well if you're out shopping. You're not going to see open houses anymore. Actual visiting of homes is very, very rare, especially if they're occupied. It's not happening at all for the most part. You're seeing virtual tours where realtors have had the staging company go through and do a very nice video to show you all the way through the property. Once you get an accepted offer and then you get down to, again, towards closer in the process of closing, then you'll be able to get access. Some people aren't as restrictive. Again, this is what we're getting told versus what people are doing is sometimes a little bit different. It's going to depend on your agent. It's going to depend on the selling agent and the family that's selling the home that you're looking to purchase. So just know that that is going to change and it's going to continue to evolve, but make sure you know if you can get access to homes that you're shopping for. For refinances, you're going to see a lot of changes right now. For one, cash out is very, very difficult for banks to want to take on right now because there's a lot of risk, because you're seeing a lot of people get laid off right now. I think we're at 16 million people not working, which is a massive, massive number. When you take cash out, it's inherently more risky for the bank. And so they're going to protect themselves and make sure that they're not taking on any extra risk right now when they've already had a very rough run in these last months. So cash out interest rates are significantly higher for some loan programs. Seen a major difference there. The people that we're still seeing get strong interest rates in loan programs are the people that with stronger credit scores, equity in the property, not trying to get cash out. That's not to say you can't still get cash out. That's not to say that there still aren't some of those programs available, but you're definitely going to need to shop around to make sure that you're getting a deal that makes financial sense for you. Now, I talked about this again, and this is really, really, really important. Employment. If you are not working right now because you've gotten laid off because of COVID, make sure your team knows. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to use temporary income to qualify in most situations, just because right now the nature of this, we don't know when we're going back to work. There's too much risk there for the banks to take. You're really going to be very difficult to qualify there. They're going to want you back to work and have a back to work date. Right now, we don't have that. So it doesn't mean that you won't qualify, but it does mean that we may have to wait. So still take a look at your options, still get the income to your loan officer, give them the numbers, let them give you the idea of what it is you can qualify for, but also be prepared that unless you're still working, the chances are you're probably not going to pull the trigger until you're back to work. How we're going to verify your employment is also going to change. They are adding some extra layers and making sure that we are doing a little bit extra to try to get the verification of employment done, although they are allowing some looser versions of verification. So we can get an email from your employer. Normally that would never work. We're able to get a current pay stub, so year-to-date pay stub. We're also able to get a bank statement showing direct deposit income, showing the money's still going in. So we're seeing the programs allow some flexibility there. One thing we're seeing the banks work with us with a lot is what's called 4506Ts, or verification of your tax transcripts. These are now being allowed to be what we call trailing documents, meaning we're able to close and still be able to get these documents after the loan has been closed. That's one restriction that's been lifted that's going to be very helpful for you while you're in process. Actually more helpful for your loan officer and his team, but it's really important to know. All right, well, again, it's April 9th. I wanted to keep you updated, so I hope this is helpful. If there's anything I can do to help you, let me know. I'm going to continually update this. As I see more data come available, I will update this video and I will switch it out. I want to make sure that you have the most relevant, most up-to-date data if you're out there shopping for a home, whether you want to buy, sell, and or refinance. You can still move forward if you're working and you're still able to get things done. I have a lot of people in process. It's surprisingly busy right now. Don't let this stop you from moving forward if you're in the position where you're ready to. Well, that's it, folks. I hope you are all safe, healthy, stay sane. Do your best to help flatten this curve so we can all get back out there and really enjoy each other, man. I cannot wait to give every one of you a big, big hug. So if there's anything I can do to help you, please give me a holler, shoot me a message, shoot me a text, 619-249-9140. Give me a call anytime. I'm always happy to help. I'm here for you. Stay sane. Stay together. We got this.